Here.
Okay, good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Lee County Board of Commissioners meeting, the second meeting in November. Call this meeting to order. If everybody would stand and join me for a moment of silence and the pledge. And before we go into the moment of silence, we have Thanksgiving next Thursday. And just speaking for myself, I'm very thankful for everybody in this room and glad to have everybody here and my commissioners and staff. We have a lot to be thankful for in Lee County. So if you'll join us for a moment of silence, please. Thank you. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. At this time, are there any additions to the agenda? Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. The consent agenda, well, I guess I would like to move item E to new business. That's acceptable. Anything else? Is there a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Okay. As amended?
As amended.
Okay. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you very much. All right. We have a public hearing tonight. We'll go into that. I'll call Ms. Amy McNeil, our planning administrator, up to give us a little bit of information before we go into our public hearing. Good evening.
Good evening, Commissioners, Planning Board members, and staff. Planning staff has received a rezoning application from Harrington Properties as the first step in possibly developing 43 acres off of Cox Maddox Road as a residential subdivision. The intent is to rezone the land to residential restricted to allow for the development of a single-family home subdivision with a minimum lot size of 30,000 square feet that will be served by public streets, public water, and individual private septic systems. Therefore, they have submitted this rezoning request for your consideration. The site is located in southwestern Lee County off of Cox Maddox Road, and you can reference the aerial image on your screen. Carolina Trace is located on adjoining land southwest of the site, and the other area surrounding the site is either developed with single-family homes, farmland, or woodland. North of the site, opposite Cox Maddox Road, are homes zoned residential agricultural. To the south, adjoining the site and opposite Wilmer Road, are houses and zoning of residential agricultural. To the east, opposite Wilmer Road, are houses zoned residential restricted conditional use, and that's in a particular subdivision that has certain specifications, and they're houses and farmland. Southwest are houses within Carolina Trace subdivision, and that is zoned RR, residential restricted, and northwest are houses, farmlands, and woodlands zoned RA and R20. The property is currently zoned residential agricultural, which is established to provide areas for low-density single-family uses, low-intensity agricultural operations, as well as business and supportive industrial and commercial uses. The dimensional requirements are a minimum lot width of 100 feet, minimum lot depth of 150, minimum lot size of 40,000 square feet, with minimum building setbacks of front 30, rear 30, and sides 15. There's a maximum building height of 40 feet. Examples of uses permitted by right within the RA zoning district include single-family homes, site-built modular and manufactured or mobile homes, churches, crop production, and forestry. And there is a list of permitted uses for this zoning district included within the agenda for your reference. The proposed zoning is residential restricted. This zoning district is established to provide for low-density single-family uses. Property within the zoning district should include tracts which abut or in close proximity to existing large-lot single-family development, making this an appropriate transition between rural, agricultural, and suburban uses. The dimensional requirements include a minimum lot width of 100 feet, a minimum lot depth of 120, a minimum lot size of 30,000 square feet, with the same principal building setbacks of 30 from the front, 30 from the rear, 15 from the left and right side. There is also a maximum building height of 40 feet. Examples of uses permitted by right in the residential restricted zoning district include single-family detached homes, both site-built and modular, but not manufactured or mobile homes. And there is a list of permitted uses for this zoning district in your agenda. In summary, the main difference between residential agricultural and residential restricted is that residential restricted does not allow manufactured or mobile homes. The lot size requirement is 30,000 square feet instead of 40,000 square feet. There's a minimum lot depth of 125 feet instead of 150 feet. Since any development at this location will require the installation of private septic systems, this will be the primary factor determining the actual lot size, but it cannot be smaller than allowed per the zoning district. So it's possible the lots may actually be 30,000 square feet if they need to be to fit the house, the septic system, and the septic system repair area on the lot. But if rezoned, they could not go smaller than 30,000 square feet per lot. The long-range plan identifies the future land use place type of this tract as countryside. It has the following characteristics: agricultural and undeveloped lands outside the urban service area, conservation and maintenance of rural lifestyle supported, and limited residential density. The zoning districts are residential agricultural and residential restricted within the plan. Per GIS, the subject property is not located within a floodplain, it's not within a watershed, but there are 2 ponds on the site with associated wetlands, which will need to be taken into consideration when and if the site's developed. The subject property has access to public water via a 6-inch public water main that runs parallel to Cox Maddox Road. Once again, given that it's in rural Lee County, it does not have access to public sanitary sewer, and all future development must be served by private septic systems. The site has approximately 102 feet of road frontage on Cox Maddox Road, which is an NCDOT-maintained public street with a 60-foot right-of-way. It also has a little over 1,300 feet of road frontage on Wilmer Road. This is also an NCDOT-maintained street, public street, but it is a soil road, a dirt road, as opposed to a paved road. It also has a 60-foot right-of-way, and at this time, NCDOT does not have plans to further improve or pave this roadway. If rezoned, all of the permitted uses within the residential restricted zoning district would be allowed, and any future redevelopment or development of this property must comply with the UDO design standards. Staff recommends that the board support this request. In making this recommendation, staff finds that the rezoning proposal from residential agricultural to residential restricted appears to be in keeping with the land use described in the long-range plan by allowing single-family dwellings, preserving a rural lifestyle with limited residential density by requiring a minimum lot size of 30,000 square feet, with proposed utility infrastructure, public water, and on-site wastewater disposal. The site is also currently accessed via a 2-lane rural highway with a dispersed development pattern. This request appears to be reasonable within public interest based upon the proximity of the site to other existing residential restricted zoning within the Carolina Trace community, and the location along a publicly maintained roadway with existing public water. I'll pause to allow Chairman Dalrymple to open the public hearing, and then I will answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, at this time, the public hearing is open. Are there any questions from the board?
Tell me about the dirt road.
Yes,
Will
sir.
the county have any responsibility for that?
No, sir. It is a NCDOT-maintained public roadway, but my conversations with them indicate that, it's a nice dirt road, but that's the way it's going to be maintained, is a nice dirt road.
All right.
And when and if this property is developed, I think that will probably be utilized as a secondary entrance for the residential subdivision, with the
So-
main entrance being off Cox Maddox.
So do I, and that's why I want to get it clear. County
Yes,
has
sir.
no responsibility.
No responsibility.
Thank you.
Is there a stated range of prices of the homes?
At this point, the developer who is here this evening, you're welcome to ask Brandon Harrington, who is here. He's presented a conceptual subdivision plat to the TRC, but he hasn't presented the full-blown preliminary plat, which will come before you at a later date. So right now, I believe he's probably working on the configuration of the subdivision. I don't know if he has that level of information, but you're welcome to ask him.
That's correct, we do not yet.
At this time.
Any other questions? I have a quick one maybe for you or
Yes.
Mr. Harrington. With the dirt road, and you mentioned in the secondary road, has there been any discussion, or have you determined, can school buses go down the dirt road and access, or maybe be able to access the development like we had the situation at Carolina Trace? You know, when we had the flooding and the school buses couldn't get in and residents couldn't get in, so they were having to go out, you know, the back service road. Would that be something that could,
I would assume so, since it's an NCDOT road, they should be able to.
okay. Something for later to work out.
I'm sure that the school buses can go down there currently, but Wilmer Road is going to stay as is and will not connect to Carolina Trace.
Okay. But you'll connect the development to that road?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Brandon, could you come and state your name and address for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Amy.
I'm Brandon Harrington, 121 Lynbrook Drive in Sanford.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Any more comments? Okay, thank you. Okay, at this time, is there anyone that would like to come and speak in favor of the project? And when you do come up and speak, if you will give your name and address for the record. Anyone to speak in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Thank you very much, and we'll give the planning board a few minutes to move into the other room. Welcome to the planning board. Thank you. Have a happy Thanksgiving, planning board. Okay. All right, at this time, we'll go into public comments. And the first person is Mr. Charles Taylor. And again, if you would, state your name and address for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Thank
Good
you, Madam
evening.
Chair. Madam Chair, distinguished Lee County Commissioners, and Dr. Crumpton, just come tonight on the attention line of why I'm coming is to say thanks. First of all, I need to set the table a little bit with a little story that happened in 2016. In the summer, when a young lady called the city manager and myself and asked for some assistance. When the Nautilus was being shut down, she needed a place to move her swim team and to accommodate. And it was at that time that we sat down in the afternoon and spoke with Ashley Long. And it didn't take long to figure out that this girl has a great passion not only for Lee County but for the sport of swimming. And after some conversations, we quickly moved to Dr. Crumpton and Roger Spotty, who stepped up, and they did a lot of improvements at OT Sloan, which is a jewel, by the way. Not many 50-meter pools are in existence. And as you look at the numbers to this day and time, the last 2 years, there's been 681 pools closed. There's only been 81 opened. So there are negative 600 in the last 2 years of pools. So a lot of that's happened because of 1975, 1980, pools were being built. They've run their life. They've run their shelf life. But my time with you tonight is to say thank you for Roger and as well as Dr. Crumpton's time and attention, as well as your board, giving attention to the jewel that you have there. And my last thank you is to Ashley. 2 weeks ago, I was working production with NBC Sports on a pro tier series in Greensboro. And I was working with Rowdy Gaines, who was our announcer. He's a 3-time gold medalist. And we were doing a PSA prior to the event. And he is really passionate about teaching swim lessons. And he pointed out to me that 10 people each day drown. And every time somebody drowns, a notification is sent to his phone. And he said, that's something that we can alleviate. If you're Afro-American, 5.5 times more likely to die in a drowning than a Caucasian. So there is needs for pools. There's needs for Horton Park or O.T. Sloan. And it's not on the magnitude that Greensboro has done. $38 million was spent on their pool facility. But for every what they call Taj Mahal, there's 10 other pools that need to be utilized. And I just want to thank you for the donation that you're getting. With the 2020 Olympics, I will tell you this, I haven't seen the excitement about a sport since 1996. I worked gymnastics with at the Atlanta Olympics, and that's when Team USA won the gold medal in gymnastics. I haven't seen that excitement since that time, and I just want to thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Ashley Long? Welcome.
Hi, so my name's Ashley Long and I live at 398 Back Bay in Sanford. And I just want to thank you guys. I know I stood before you in 2016 and explained what I really needed. And you guys listened and you took action and you got heaters, a new filtration system, you repainted the pool, and great strides were made. I want to thank you for that. But I want to kind of stand before you in a different position now. So I work for Tier Sport, which is the second leading swim brand internationally. I'm one of 5 team representatives that work with different territories within the country. It's broken up. And I now service 5.5 states of swimming. So I am in charge of giving sponsorship and things like that to teams, providing resources and giving back to that swim community. My official title is the Mid-Atlantic representative for Tier. I'm here again to ask that we continue to renovate O.T. Sloan. There is a huge need. Swimming is a sport from birth to death. From the mommy and me classes when a baby is born until you're doing water aerobics, physical therapy until you die, you can use an aquatic facility. So it hits every single age bracket, and I don't fully believe any other sport can do that. Like, every sport has their perks and things like that, but with swimming and aquatics, it's a different way to reach every member of your community. And that's something that is huge. There are 7 competitive swim teams that are incredibly high level that are in our radius. Raleigh-Cary is ranked in the top 10 cities in the country for swimming. We are highly competitive. Marlins of Raleigh, for one, has come here many, many times and rented lane space from us. But there is a critical need for a 50-meter training facility that is not available in Cary-Raleigh. And they're willing to drive down from Raleigh to train here because of what that can offer. And so there are many opportunities available, and I'd love to sit down with you guys individually or however it needs to be done to talk further about it. But having this service in the community is huge, and I want to help facilitate that now from a different standing and being able to give back for what Tier offers. So I just want to thank you guys.
Thank you, Ashley. Okay, Brian Smith. I think we have a theme tonight. It's a good thing.
My name is Brian Smith. My address is 2010 Shannon Drive here in Sanford. First off, thank you for the opportunity to come and speak with y'all this evening. I'm going to speak to the proposed sports complex. Tonight I represent the Sanford Area Soccer League. I'm the vice president. We are a nonprofit organization, and this past fall we served nearly 500 youth in our community. Our league consists of recreation level players, more advanced academy level players, and we have highly skilled travel teams that compete with some of the best youth soccer programs in the state. I'm certain that our players, their families, coaches, team parents, they would all wholeheartedly endorse a purpose-built facility for youth sports. With each new residential, commercial, industrial project that's proposed for Lee County, I can't help but see that more and more folks are going to come to our area. And these folks, like many of our existing residents, want high-quality athletic facilities and programs, and they want access to quality recreational pursuits. So the sports complex is really about creating opportunities for our young people in our community. You know, athletics provides an avenue for young people to learn values of teamwork, honesty, integrity, sportsmanship. Children who participate in athletics have higher levels of physical activity and less sedentary behavior. Some social scientists even propose that participation in youth sports protects against juvenile delinquency. In closing, I hope that Lee County will support the construction of the sports complex. At this point in time, we have a very unique, special opportunity to make a significant investment in our county. We shouldn't let it slip by. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Thomas Perry? Good evening.
Good evening. Thomas Perry, 21 Eve 10 Lane. Hi, my name is Thomas Perry. I'm 16 years old and a resident of Lee County. I've been playing soccer for 12 years, all with Sanford Area Soccer League. I started soccer when I was 4 and at that time played rec. I played rec until I was 7 and then joined a travel team. Our team's name was Storm. We progressed through all levels of North Carolina youth soccer. We played so well that we made it all the way to the top of youth soccer, the Premier League. When we made it to the Premier League, everyone was so happy. We had achieved what we set our minds to. The Premier League was definitely a step up in competition. We were used to being by far the best team, so it was a shock to be in close games and lose, even though we were just as good as any other team. We were competitive in the highest division of soccer, which proved that we did deserve to be there. There were 12 teams in the Premier League. We played each team once, meaning that we played a total of 11 games. We had to play 9 of our 11 games away. In sports, it is a huge advantage to play at home. We were in close games even though we had to travel. We were only scheduled for 2 games at home. One of those 2 games we couldn't play because the other team didn't want to play on our fields. A top division team traveled all the way from Charlotte and chose not to play us because our fields were so bad. At the end of the season, we had played only 1 game at home. We had the talent to make it to the top division, but not the facilities to host games. Just like all great things, our team came to an end. We will never forget the lessons and friends we had made on and off the field. I hope that a new complex will allow other kids that work so hard the ability to play at the level that we did and learn the same lessons and make friends as well. I hope that kids who want to be the next great have the ability and facilities to do so. I hope that the next Storm can have the ability to have facilities to be able to play at the highest level of youth soccer. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas, for coming tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you. Tim Blodgett? Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tim Blodgett. I'm a retired Marine, local business owner. I'm also the director of coaching for Sanford Area Soccer League, as well as the general manager for Stanley Football Club, which is our local semi-pro team here. I'm here tonight just to talk to you about the overall soccer numbers. I'm sure a lot of people hear about gaining popularity. However, I just want to kind of shed some light. So in 1996, Major League Soccer was started in the U.S. with 10 teams. Currently, there's 26 teams, and by 2022, there's a hope to be 30 teams within the U.S., one of which being North Carolina Football Club right here in Raleigh. Again, just to talk about numbers, LA Dodgers, which is a professional baseball team, averages roughly 49,000 in attendance currently. 76ers, Major League Basketball, averages roughly 20,300. Atlanta United, which is a local Major League Soccer team, averages roughly 52,000. So to talk to about it on a state level, currently within the state, we have one of the largest youth clubs, which is North Carolina Football Club. We have 65,000 players through North Carolina Youth Soccer, that's registered players through North Carolina Youth Soccer. Just on a side note, next month, currently hosting playoff matches and tournaments and things like that within Wake County. We'll bring in roughly $25 million in revenue to the county, just from youth tournaments, ACC games, and that sort of thing. And then to talk about it on a local level, being the director of coaching, being the owner of Sand Lake Football Club, I work with kids on a year-round basis. In my known knowledge of studying soccer, 1 out of every 4 children will play youth soccer growing up. In Sanford, North Carolina, we have 8,600 kids under the age of 18. Currently, like Dr. Smith had stated, we have roughly 500 kids in Sanford Area Soccer League. So if we have 8,600 kids in Sanford under the age of 18, that's roughly, in my opinion, 1,650 kids in this community that are underserved. And truly our main reason for being underserved is based on our facilities. So we have outgrown the current facilities. We've been very grateful for the facilities that we do have. But unfortunately, with our growing population, big love for the game here, we're just unable to facilitate it. So here today just to explain that point. So thank you.
And Tim, real quick, just your street address for the
Oh,
record.
I'm sorry.
No, that's
696 Rainwood Vista Lane, Sanford, North Carolina.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Don Schreiner? Did I say that correctly? Good evening.
Good evening. I have a question. I know that the sport of soccer has grown significantly in this country, and I think it's a great sport and all that stuff. But I wonder if Sanford is able to support a soccer complex. Where is this money going to come from? We continue to spend money on all kinds of projects, and that sounds all well and good. A lot of us would like to live in a newer home and that sort of thing, but we have to live within our means. And I think Lee County has to live within its means too. And I wonder how we're planning on paying for this. I understand there's been discussion of floating bonds and that sort of thing, but we've floated a lot of stuff recently, and I just wonder how much can we float? I think it's a reasonable question. That I think somebody owes the citizens of Lee County a response to that. I may be the only one up here questioning some of this tonight, and I don't want to throw cold water on a warm game, but I would really like to have an answer to that from somebody, or from somebody, on how we're planning on paying for this. I'm a senior citizen. I'm not going to be living forever, I know that, but somebody's going to have to pay for this. And we keep floating bonds and spending all this money, tax and spend, tax and spend. We got to draw a line in the sand somewhere and come within reason how we can live within our means. So I certainly would appreciate very much some kind of response to that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. At this time, I will go into old business, and you'll find that on page 62. The consideration of a resolution for rail corridors. I won't read the entire long detail. Dr. Crumpton, do you want to say anything to this resolution, or?
I'll be glad to. Although I haven't been involved in any meetings, I know that there's been discussion about the state of North Carolina developing a high-speed corridor between Washington, D.C. and Jacksonville, Florida, that would come through North Carolina. And the real emphasis is to create a route from Raleigh to Fayetteville and be able to run passengers back and forth, and that we would have a stop here in Sanford. So they call it the S line and SA line, and I think there's a push for some commuter options there. So I think that DOT is looking for our local support. I know this is also on the city's agenda for tomorrow night.
Any questions or comments on this?
You say it's from where to where? It's from Raleigh to...
It's the current line that runs from
Yeah.
Raleigh,
You know, it's Hamlet to
right,
Raleigh.
to Hamlet, but then there's the emphasis to run another line down to Fayetteville
From Hamlet.
from Sanford.
From Sanford to Fayetteville. That means acquiring land, right of ways.
I was familiar with that.
Madam Chair, I'm going to be opposed to this resolution simply because we don't have the concentration and population density that will make this even fundamentally profitable, let alone serviced. I mean, I remember seeing a graphic many years ago in which North Carolina was at the very bottom for population density for mass transit lines. That's one of the reasons why the light rail between Durham and Raleigh collapsed because of that. But to include this part of the state where the density is not is populated, I just don't see it as being feasible.
Any other comments or questions?
This is I don't remember this one. How long ago was this? Was this presented to us? Did DOT come and present this? No.
No, you know, the city had a proposed layout of a station if this came to pass. My understanding is right now that the state of North Carolina, DOT, is in the process of negotiating and talking about purchasing the line itself. And that this would be an opportunity for us to have a substation here in right off Chatham Street there.
At the depot.
The old furniture factory would serve as a commuter line as well as a freight carrying line for the proposed mega site, was my understanding. I'm not opposed to the resolution simply because it's in the front end of the investigation of whether or not it's even feasible.
I was wondering why DOT hasn't shown us the long-term plans.
I don't think they've gotten that far yet. Right.
So I can understand.
Yeah, they're looking at other areas to find out if it came to fruition, would you have an interest in participating?
Looking at it?
Yeah.
I don't mind having discussion on it.
That's my position.
The meetings, and I haven't been able to make one either, but in talking with the mayor and folks from Saga, it's being proposed more to us as not really necessarily on the front end, you know, a commuter line, as Commissioner Smith was discussing, but freight, and then maybe getting people here to the mega site once something happens there. It's an economic development tool.
I think in the future, I'd like to see DOT come and give us a little presentation as this thing goes forward.
Sure, if they, sure.
It was my understanding that they're still working with the
CSX.
yes, the railroad.
The owners.
Yes, the idea is perhaps there's a section from Sanford to Raleigh that would operate independent, I guess, of the regular CSX lines and
go through the mega site.
but they're not sure. It goes to Moncure right now. And there's a section in there from Moncure to Sanford that they're possibly going to propose that they sell that line as well, and that's where we would come in. Sort of complicated, but I don't know a lot about railroads other than trains, but I think it'd be good for us to look into it, at least. And the city has a little more information regarding it, because the mayor's one of the co-chairs, I believe.
But to your point, though, I think that's what everybody is anticipating is with the resolutions for the communities that are along the rail line, just to show interest in them continuing to study and see the feasibility of it. And then if they can make it work, then they'll come and make a presentation to us.
Right, once they get it together.
Mhm.
You know, my position was, the first thing was what would it cost, if anything at all, and until I know what numbers are, then I have very little interest, and so they haven't got that far yet. But it was my understanding that DOT is in the process of dealing with CSX either way, whether we're involved or not.
And the resolution talks about, the, investigating and anticipating and.
Preliminary.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Okay, all those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right, new business, find on page 65, request for relief of late list penalty. Thank you folks for coming.
That's what I think. It is.
Kind of got you hemmed up there.
That's fine. Good evening, Madam Chairman.
Good evening, Mr. Brown. Thank you.
Other county commissioners. Tonight we come before you with a request for relief of late listing penalty. Fred Anderson Acquisition Company, LLC. Taxpayer has requested relief of the late list penalty. Taxpayers are to file their personal property listings with us by January 31st. The electronic listing for this was received by our office February 26th. Since it is filed late, we have to, by law, apply a 10% late listing penalty. After consideration of the facts and information provided in the packet, a decision is requested regarding the request of relief of the late listing penalty of the county portion of the taxes in the amount of $283.49. This property is within the city limits, and the city, we will notify them of action taken tonight.
Okay. Any questions?
What's our policy on this? This doesn't come up that often. Can you refresh me on our policy?
Hold on, I've got it.
Page 76.
Yep. It's, it's kind of halfway down the page, on page 76. Listing received or postmarked within the first 5 days. Close of the annual listing period. Listing is received or postmarked within 30 days of the close of the annual listing period is reduced by 50%. It didn't meet our guidelines, correct? I mean, that's what.
The only one item that I did see as to an issue, and I'm not sure where it takes priority in your resolution, is the issue of past the second bullet, second paragraph down. Any individual business with a late listing filed in the past 5 consecutive years may be ineligible. They have this 2019's filed late. Also, 2017 and 16 were also listed late with us also.
Okay.
This is the first time they've asked for relief of penalty.
Any more questions or comments?
And we're talking about $283.49?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Is there a motion?
All right, let me just back up here. This is good.
Okay. Give you a moment.
Yeah. Before we make them, can you just state the motion that we're voting on for clarity?
Okay, the motion would be to deny the request
Thank you.
for tax relief. if I'm correct. Or to
No, you.
approve, or to approve relief. I'm just going based on the recommendation, you know, of our tax office and our aforementioned criteria.
I just want
Conservative board when this was, guidelines were written.
Yes, sir.
Or I just said, it was a pretty conservative board when the guidelines were written.
No, I just wanted to make sure we clarify what we're voting. That's all.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
No problem. So is
So which
there a
is it?
motion?
Madam Chair, she didn't make a
Yes,
motion.
sir. Yes, sir.
The chairwoman made a motion. I just wanted her to.
No, Commissioner Smith.
Madam Chair, move to deny the request.
Okay, all right. Now, any questions or comments? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Okay, presentation on information regarding Project Safe.
Neighborhood,
Sir?
safe neighborhood.
Safe neighborhoods, yes. Do you want to
Yes, ma'am.
Yep, on this?
This is mine. A couple of weeks ago, I attended a meeting at the courthouse on this project and met with our district attorney, Vernon Stewart, who's here, and Assistant District Attorney Melanie Webster is here as well. So they were in the meeting, as was the sheriff, police chief of Sanford, police chief of Broadway, and there were a couple of representatives from probation office and a representative from the federal central district of our Department of Justice. So we went over the plan. It was the first time I had been involved in discussions in the plan. The city has been involved in this program before and is actively wanting to get back into the plan as well. So I think it was unanimous in the room that this was a good plan. So the 5 elements of the plan are you work closely with the U.S. Attorney's Office. The parties cooperate and coordinate, implement this plan, target and prioritize enforcement, prevention of additional violence, and accountability for everybody that's involved. So basic, as I understood the plan in discussing with Cabarrus County, they were referenced as one of the counties that ran a very good program. The idea here is to get repeat offenders who are habitual problems in their community, either get them in prison or for a long period of time, or to try to rehabilitate them and get them involved in programs so that they can re-enter the population and become productive citizens. So the coordinator position is here. I actually talked with the coordinator in Cabarrus County, and she told me that the groups that she worked with were unemployment agency, the community college, vocational rehab, substance abuse, Daymark there, and Health and Human Services were the 5 main groups that she worked with to try to get these people back into the public, and worked very closely with probation in Cabarrus County so that they, would, coordinate their efforts to try to, either get these people back in prison or get them to be productive members of the community. So I'll be happy to answer any questions. I'm sure the district attorney would be happy as well. In the MOU, we have a coordinated effort where this position would, on a daily basis, report to his office and coordinate their efforts through there.
Any questions or comments?
Madam Chair, Dr. Crumpton referenced Daymark, and I've gone through this, and I was going to bring this up. We didn't have any information in here that our mental health facilities would be incorporated in this plan. Is it just something unwritten?
This was part of what they did in Cabarrus County.
Right.
So I just wrote that down.
Can we add that in our program?
Yes, sir. We can make that as part of the responsibilities of the position, that they'll work with these area groups to help get these folks back into the community, productive citizens.
Because unfortunately, there is substance abuse involved in most of these problems that we are experiencing.
Yes.
Any other questions or input for the MOU?
What are we expecting tonight? Hopefully, it's information.
And then, you know, to, at least to get a basic support so we can move forward to finalize the MOU and finalize the job description with the group, because we're supposed to meet again. And then anything I need to bring back December 2nd, finalize with the board, any information. Because this is the first time we've discussed this as a group.
Right.
And, I think it's hard to just, and there is an expectation of funding from the county and the city. The city has already committed, you know, funding to the program. And my conversations with the city manager, they've committed up to $20,000 and would be looking for the same from the county.
This program was here a couple, 3 years ago.
2014, I believe.
14.
I think. Pretty sure it's 2014.
It was pretty effective at that point in time, but I don't know any of the stats, and we may want to look at that and see how we fared. The other, I mean, I'm supportive. I like the dual purposes. But I am a little concerned about, it appears that the county, would the employee be a county employee, or what would that be?
The initial MOU is yes, that the person would be a county employee and would report to a committee made up of the members, you know, some of whom I just discussed, you know, were part of this meeting the other day.
Do we have a list of those members anywhere?
Yes.
It's on page 79. Would be the executive committee, and it goes on to page 80. And then you'd have the strategy team and advisory
District Attorney,
team.
the Sheriff, the Police Chief of Sanford, Police Chief of Broadway, and the Judicial District Manager, plus the Chief Court Counselor and the United States Attorney. So you have a 7-member board.
Executive board. Do you want to speak to it, or?
No, I will say, my name is Vernon Stewart, for the record, the district attorney, is that it's my understanding there was probably a 15% reduction in violent crime back during that relevant period of time when the program was up and going.
Do you know why it stopped?
We didn't have a coordinator. Like many things, it just kind of waned off. The project has never been canceled. It's just not been vitalized the entire time like it was initially.
So having one person dedicated to managing and maintaining it would be
This one
helpful.
person's going to be the center of a wheel, and their job is going to be to collect and disseminate information to the agencies, and also line up all these resources that you have available here, which can be many, many resources: mental health, job opportunities,
Community college.
education opportunities, and they stay on top of it. And that's their job. Okay, the attention's not going to have to be divided. You know, Melanie Webster, she did a great deal in trying to keep everything moving forward, but she has job responsibilities too. Same thing with the police department and the personnel within that department. This person will be the person that has to come before this board and the city board and explain what they're doing and how effective they've been. And so I think it's a wonderful thing to have the idea of a coordinator. And you know, that should work out very well.
Okay.
We didn't have that person before, right?
We did not.
No.
We did not.
And if you do this time, is it going to be a county employee that will be dispatched to the DA's office, or how would that work?
Our discussion was is that the person would be housed in the DA's office.
That's correct. And that gives it a degree of independence from law enforcement, because I think the studies or the idea is that it's more effective when it's an independent party separated from law enforcement. And I will say something in addition to what I just said is, not only, as Dr. Crumpton pointed out, you know, do you deal with the, you know, the habitual felons and those that are already in very, very serious situations, but there's a undergroup that you really want to get your hands on, and I offer these resources to, and show them the errors of their ways before they get to that upper echelon. So there's really twofold of folks that you're dealing with, and if you stay on the under echelon enough, your upper echelon will dissolve.
You talking about kindergarten?
Well, it's actually a younger age
Yeah.
now than it was
We
before.
want to.
I mean,
Sure
we
it
talked
is.
about that.
Yeah.
About middle school.
We sure did.
It has to be,
You have to go early.
yeah,
That's just a fact of life.
right.
Unfortunately.
But
It
I
used
don't-
to be
I don't-
ninth grade, now
Now
it was
it's
eighth grade,
sixth.
now it's sixth, now it's 5.
Right.
Just depends.
Versus boys and it's girls. I don't think my question was answered though. The person would become a county employee and dispatched to work under the supervision of your office.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just want to be clear
Sure,
on
sure.
what we're proposing here. We
As
have,
a county employee, they would have to follow personnel policy of the county and any disciplinary actions, that kind of stuff. We'd
Yeah.
have to clear through HR and that type of stuff.
That's right. They have to come before you and tell what they've done.
it gives me a little better comfort.
Thank you very much
Thank you very
for
much.
your input. Okay, so.
I would only ask, excuse me, Madam
Sure,
Chair.
sure.
I'd only ask, maybe we get a printout or a copy of what Cabarrus reports look like and how they're categorized and
Okay.
the list of the agencies they're working with. Because one of the things I'm also interested in, I noticed that the city council had mentioned some resources that should be made available in this program, and a lot of the resources I thought we were already providing, and if they're new resources, then I'd like to know what they are.
Any other concerns or comments or
Well, I just want to
weighing in
say
for the MOU, you
that
know?
I support the program, but when we did this before, I think we fell a little short on the job thing, the education, so I just want to make sure that we're, get on the right page with giving these people support and the help and, you know, and lead them in the right direction. I just think, you know, being involved in it, we kind of, and I'm not talking about any one person or any, it just seemed to fall a little short.
I hope they'll be in touch with mom and dad if they're involved in some capacity. I hear a lot of requests from the government, but I hear very little being mentioned about the parents. Government can't keep raising everybody's children.
Well, it seems like when we had it before, we didn't have this position, so I
Well, that's
think
why
that makes
I
a
think
big
this person can
difference.
stay on,
Mhm.
you know, stay on track.
Would be expected.
So, you know, this is for information only as Ms. Parrish and Dr. Crumpton kind of work on the MOU for the next meeting for a vote. So, you know, anything?
Can I
Sure.
just have a question, Madam Chair? The Cabarrus County, did they incorporate their pastors or community?
We did not cover that, so I don't know.
That's why I'm requesting that they
Well, I'm
send
getting ready
us-
to call her again, so I'm.
There is a
I'll ask that
moral
question.
component to this.
Faith-based, yeah.
Faith-based, yeah.
That's why I said get a list of all that they're doing.
All the
So we
stakeholders.
have a
and
better,
what they're doing.
better idea.
Sure.
It was discussed in our group meeting.
Okay.
I would encourage that as well. Add that as part of that realm of individuals that are gonna help guide these folks.
Okay. All right, so if anything else comes up, if you think of anything else, in the meantime, before our next meeting, to craft into the MOU, or as they craft the MOU. All right, moving on to our next item, update from Sanford Area Growth Alliance, and Mr. Smith. Ms. Moss, welcome.
Good evening, Chair Dalrymple and
Good
County
evening.
Commissioners. My name is Meg Moss. I'm the Chamber of Commerce Executive Director for the Sanford Area Growth Alliance. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening regarding Chamber of Commerce updates. The first thing I want to let you know is about the RISE program, which stands for Real Investment in Sanford Entrepreneurs. This is a small business entrepreneurship course designed to run for 8 weeks and will teach people how to start and effectively run a business. This is being provided in partnership with Downtown Sanford Incorporated and the CCCC Small Business Center. And a memorandum of understanding has been approved by the 3 entities, and marketing materials are currently being developed. And this program is slated to begin at the end of January 2020. Rural broadband connectivity is another significant area in which the Chamber has taken a collaborative leadership role, which we discussed at the SAGA annual meeting. This year, the Chamber has been a proud presenting sponsor for several events, including the Business and Professional Women's Conference, the Lee Regional Fair, Farm City Week, and other leadership conferences in Lee County. We take it seriously that we have the opportunity to inform our Chamber members of activities in the community that can benefit businesses and their owners and their employees. The promoting sponsorships that we do are not a form of financial sponsorship. It simply involves us being able to help promote these events to the community. The Chamber runs multiple committees that allow for our membership to be engaged in key areas of interest in our community. These committees include the Education and Workforce Development Committee, the Membership Committee, Small Business Advocacy Committee, and a Legislative Committee. Chamber membership is currently at 571 members. Of that, approximately 85 members are businesses from outside of Lee County that join the Chamber because they want to come and make connections and grow their business into our county. Just 2 years ago, our membership was at 542, and prior to the merger creating SAGA, membership was in the high 400s. We are now in our 21st year of Leadership Sanford, which prepares professionals to become nonprofit board members, volunteers, and active community participants. We have served approximately 320 people in this capacity since 1999. The mission of Leadership Sanford is to promote a continuous, diverse supply of creative leaders to the community by developing their knowledge of the region and providing them the opportunity for meaningful action. Through glimpses into the city, county, school system, community college, industry tours, and nonprofit organizations, these individuals have the knowledge to best serve our community, and we encourage them to serve on city and county committees. And thank you, Dr. Crumpton, for presenting to the Leadership Sanford class last week. They had lots of questions.
Yes, they did.
Networking events that the Chamber provides allow for referrals between businesses and relationships to be developed so that businesses can build trust in each other. We host approximately 50 events each year. Things like AM Buzz, public policy luncheons, business after hours, the business showcase, and the Chamber banquet are just a few examples. I want to talk just a moment about ribbon cuttings, and these are when new businesses start in Lee County and join the Chamber of Commerce. So in 2018, there were 13 ribbon cuttings that represented 54 new jobs. And then in 2019 to date, we have had 17 ribbon cuttings representing 108 new jobs. And these job numbers are derived solely from the ribbon cuttings. There are other businesses, of course, that have opened. Just a couple of examples of businesses that have opened but have not had ribbon cuttings, and therefore we don't have those job numbers. Lidl, Aldi, Coaches, Ollie's, just a couple businesses to name. And last but not least, we serve as a small business resource and referral service. Outside of us providing guidance to existing and potential business owners, we refer people to experts that can best meet their individual needs. We work very closely with the Small Business Center through the Community College and the Small Business Technology Development Center through the state. They both offer small business trainings and confidential business counseling. The Chamber has developed a small business resources guide as a result of the frequent request for assistance. Thank you for your time, and I'm now going to turn it over to Michael Smith.
Thank you, Meg. We got another ribbon cutting this week, I think.
We do.
A couple of days.
Yes.
Yeah. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Thank you for giving us a few minutes to talk with you about things that are happening with the Sanford Area Growth Alliance. One of the things to remind you of is 5 years ago when our organization was formed, it was formed as a merger of both the Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development. And we did that to better leverage our financial resources, and we feel that things have worked extremely well. One example of how this merger, I think, has served our community was July 10th. Some of you may remember that day because it was a day we were scheduled to actually have 3 client visits to come to Lee County. Fortunately, one of them decided to move it to later in the week, but we did have 2 large visits on the very same day. And these were 2 of the largest projects that our county had seen in a long time on the same day at the same time. And these were two visits where we had a room full of key leaders at the Buggy Factory to meet and be a part of our presentation. Amazingly, these 2 different clients missed each other only by a couple of minutes. As our team scrambled to switch from a lunch meeting discussing the Shell building with an out-of-state life science project to a 2 p.m. meeting with pictures of a 100-acre greenfield site on our walls and switched the lunch tables to a mid-afternoon snack display, it was great to see how our team performed under that extreme pressure. This extraordinary level of activity has led us to right now. From an economic development standpoint, for a community of our size, the year that we've just finished, and we're not finished yet, is one of the most successful years of any North Carolina community. Bob Joyce and Jimmy Randolph on our economic development side have been amazing for our organization. Their level of professionalism is incredible. It's really been a lot of fun to watch what's happened. As I mentioned before, it takes a room full of people to make these kinds of projects happen. It's not just 1 or 2 people. It really is a room full of people. We want to again thank so many in this room that have done so much to help us in this team effort. Chairwoman Dalrymple, your leadership, and Dr. Crumpton, the things that you've done for us, Jennifer Gamble, Lisa Mentor, Don Kay, so many people that helped us from the county on lots of projects. The Triangle Business Journal is something that I hope you all have had a chance to take a look at. I have a copy for all of you. This is something that, again, it goes back to talking about the staff that we have, that you have. Lots of staffs in other places that don't have the resources we have could not have helped put something like this together. We'll be able to use this over the coming year as a marketing piece to help tell the story of what's happening in Lee County. And so we're excited to share this with you. We're also glad to have been part of the Rural North Carolina event that was held earlier this year. This was held in Sanford. We had our hotels full. We had a great day and a half here in Lee County and a festive night out that night in downtown Sanford. We also have a great marketing relationship with our partners at WRAL.com, and this is also helping us build our brand to reach the Triangle and beyond with our message of opportunity in Sanford, Lee County, and Broadway. For expansions, in August, we had a $500 million announcement at Pfizer. That's just amazing. State-of-the-art gene therapy manufacturing here, the incredible long-term success story for Lee County, and the outstanding work of our own Jimmy Randolph to stay involved and help make this happen. This facility is anticipated to support Pfizer's continuing investment in gene therapy research and development and strengthen its ability to produce a supply of both clinical and commercial scale quantities of critical, potentially life-changing gene therapy medicines to patients living with rare diseases. This expansion will have 300 new full-time jobs. Just last week, we had a great tour of their facility with the Chamber having their board meeting there. In addition to the gene therapy, Pfizer's operation here will also manufacture components for their vaccine portfolio, including Prevnar 13. So this is another opportunity for additional expansion at that facility. Caterpillar recently announced their previously discussion of renovation of 140,000 square foot manufacturing facility. They are operating at full capacity, and they had a 100 job expansion on their main campus to add another shift. In addition to these significant expansions, more than a dozen other existing manufacturers have completed facility expansions or are actively pursuing them, continuing to capitalize on this period of economic growth by building on the success of their existing operations in Lee County. We expect this strong expansion to continue throughout 2020. On the new business side, the Barat Forge project was an amazing example of teamwork and collaboration between the city, the county, and our private sector investors. And our many allies, including the Governor's Office, the Department of Commerce, help from the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina and Cary, the new India office that the EDP opened 1 year ago, Tom White and his team at North Carolina State University, the work of the Research Triangle Regional Partnership, and the leadership they provided by helping start the India-North Carolina Advisory Committee that was key in the recruitment of this company. This project would not have happened without product. And by product in our case, I mean the Central Carolina Enterprise Park. Having that park, having that Class A park, was the first site that they looked at. They came here, they wanted to be there, but they realized that their particular site wasn't going to fit in terms of the available land. So fortunately, Bob Joyce had another idea. He made several calls about other possible sites in Lee County, and due to his experience, contacts, and great local network, we came up with another option. Without Bob's creative thinking, we were off the list. We estimate that in our office alone, and not counting your office, Dr. Crumpton, just in our office alone, 1,000 hours were put into this project to pull it together. But it will create 460 new full-time jobs, and it has added to our tremendous momentum and has already created new conversations for us. So thank you again for your support, Commissioners, on this and many other projects. And we look forward to working with you more in the coming weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a busy couple of months for sure. Thank you. Okay, moving along to the item D that we added from the consent agenda, and on your agenda that'd be page 31, and that's the lane lines and swim goggles donation. And Mr. Payne, you want to come up and share a little bit? We found out a little bit about it during the public comments, but thank you.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, glad to be here this evening. We've had been very fortunate to get this donation of lane lines and the goggles to promote swimming. As was stated earlier, swimming, having the ability to swim and be safe around water is one of the most important things that Parks and Recreation or any organization can do. So anyway, we look forward to making use of these. Cindy Castle, our aquatics supervisor, is here this evening. She does a wonderful job, and she's got great ideas about expanding programming at the pool. The old saying is a pool's a hole in the ground you just keep throwing money in. So we're trying to be creative and maximize as much use of the pool as we can to as many different groups as we can, including swim teams. So.
Question. Did Tramway have a water safety program? Tramway Elementary?
Not this year.
Not this year. Any reason why?
Timing.
Funding. They lost their funding this year, so they were unable to attend.
Yep. Who funds that?
Pentair.
Pentair
has funded it in the past, but they didn't this year. So.
At what level?
They paid the expenses for the instructors.
And the bus.
And the bus.
How much? What was the cost?
How much? You know?
I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look. I'm not sure.
Do you know, Ashley?
Yeah, so Tramway's program, I've been running it since I was 19. I've been involved with it since I was 15. It costs roughly $2,500 to run, and it's been fully funded by Pentair. this year Miss Langston, the PE teacher at Tramway Elementary, contacted me about the loss of funding, and they're unable to put it in their schedule at any other time of the year at this point, just because the pool, when it's open and closed, because there's not a year-round running facility. So they're not able to just move it to another place. And she reached out to a lot of other places in town. I know Chatley and like a bunch of other places I had recommended her, and she couldn't get anyone to donate funding for it, so we had to shut down the program for temporarily. And that's something that personally I would love to see every elementary school be able to participate in the entire county, not just one school. So that's another resource for aquatics for year round that could be done. So
How does that program work?
how does it work? We have different stations. We teach deep water safety.
Can you like
Oh,
come up
sure.
to the mic just so people that are watching on TV can hear what you're saying?
Sorry. So we run 5 different stations. There's deep water safety, where we teach them how to use a life vest and how to work around in the deep end in the diving well. We have 3 different stations for 3 strokes: freestyle or front crawl, backstroke, and breaststroke, so that they learn the different styles to be able to move around safely. And then we have a boat station where we teach them boat safety. So that's something I've been doing with them for a significant period of time. It's gone on since before I was involved in it, but it's something that they've been doing for a significant period of time.
What age group?
It used to be the whole school, but I guess the expense of it got to be too much, so then it moved to grades 3 through 5. When I first started, it was kindergarten through 5th.
Okay.
And we ran it for almost 2 weeks.
All right.
When?
Thank you.
When?
Time frame, yeah. When do you usually run that program?
We do it usually a week in the summer. So whenever I'm able to get people to work it with me that are certified, we would just find when it works for OT Sloan and Parks and Rec, and when it works for their school schedule. So usually sometime in the end of July, like early August time frame, generally towards the end of the summer.
During
They're
during
year-round.
intersession?
Yeah, it's not during intersession, it's during school. It's a
During
part of their
school,
PE
it's-
curriculum.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it's,
it's
it is
First week or
everybody.
two in August typically.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
they're
part of their
year-round
PE
program.
curriculum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Miss Langston's incorporated into their PE curriculum.
Any more questions? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
I don't think so. We learned a lot. I didn't know I was going to learn as much pulling it out of the consent agenda. I just wanted everybody to know about the gift.
Just keep us up to date on how that work is going. Okay? Thank you.
For sure.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
But one other thing that Ashley didn't mention is that USA Swimming did a piece on the donation and a little bit about Lee County, and so that was really exciting talking with the writer from USA Swimming doing a piece on Lee County and our pool, and it's a little bit of publicity for us, and
Absolutely.
it's a good thing.
Madam Chair, move to accept the donation of lane lines and swim goggles.
Okay. Any more questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you for everybody's hard work on getting this lined up. It's great. Just more good stuff. Thank you very much. Okay, county manager's report.
Yes, ma'am. In first item on the report is the sports complex. Just at the last meeting, I was asked to look into projects in Kannapolis and Monroe, and that was in the consultant's report. I looked into both of those projects. One involved a minor league baseball team, which we're not dealing with in ours, so that's the primary focus in Kannapolis. And then the Monroe complex was, pretty much baseball and open space. So it didn't involve rectangle fields, but have been looking around at other projects. And I think, one of the things that has come up is, there are a lot of these facilities like ours, Holly Springs being the closest. But as was mentioned tonight, it's not just about tournaments, it's about your local teams. So we need to hopefully keep that focus. But really wasn't ready to give a full report to the board tonight, but one of the things that I wanted to do was go over the bonds, not just the sports complex, but the library, and give you a financial aspect of that. So I hope to do that at the December 2nd meeting with the board. So I know Mr. Shiner asked about that. I see that he's left, so, but, you know, at the next meeting, we will discuss it and how the county can afford to do both of those projects. Courthouse renovations, we are at a crawl, trying to get that done as the building, the fireplace building continues to be evaluated. And every time it's evaluated, we find some other issues. But I think we're finally at the end here, and hopefully we'll have those renovations out to bid before the end of the year. The same thing with the Lee County Parks recreation plans at Kiwanis Family Park, Horton Park, O.T. Sloan, and Temple Park. I have the 90% completion of the plans on my desk. They look good, you know, as far as construction documents go. So we should be approving those and be out to bid. So both the courthouse and the Parks and Recreation projects should be going on in the spring. I just wanted to let the board know that your county staff will be at the City of Sanford meeting tomorrow night as part of our contractual agreement with the City of Sanford and Barat Forge. The property was to be annexed by the city, and so since we're the owners of the property at this time, we instituted the annexation process, and we'll be at their meeting tomorrow, and also the December 17th meeting, going through that with them. We hadn't talked about the airport overlay district in a while. I just wanted to let you know that in discussions I've had with Marshall, that you know, the planning board will be probably discussing this further, and eventually we hope to have a recommendation back to the board on what to do with the overlay district, and it probably will not look like the plan that we discussed in the public hearing. So we're still working on that. It hasn't gone away. All right, so I have plenty of things to talk about as far as a calendar. I don't think Meg brought it up, but Thursday is AM Buzz at the fishing place, Cash and Fishing Rods. So I'm going to be late to the airport meeting because I'm going on Thursday morning. Of course, you know I'm going. I've got to go over there. I got to see if he's got anything on sale, right? So
I figured.
as part of the AM Buzz. So go over there Thursday morning at 7:30. Wanted to remind you all about the Farm City Banquet next Monday night at 5:30. Dinner's at 6. The offices will be closed a week from Thursday and Friday for the Thanksgiving holiday. December 2nd. I didn't bring this up because it really wasn't on my radar, but after the agenda went out, someone mentioned to me that December 2nd is the Sanford Parade, Christmas parade, holiday parade. And so our meeting conflicts with the parade. So even though the parade doesn't actually start till 7 o'clock, road closures start occurring around here at 5:30 and really get going at about 6:30. So it's hard to drive around. So in the past, I think we've met early, like 4 o'clock. We've met on Tuesday. We've done other options. So whatever the pleasure of the board is on December 2nd at this point, I don't think a 6 o'clock start is a very good option for us right now.
Madam Chair, move the meeting to 4 p.m. on December 2nd.
Okay. Any discussion?
No, that's gonna be tough. We'll have
Okay, well, and keep in mind, now that's the first meeting in December, that's the organizational meeting for the board.
That was the second thing I was going
Yes.
to say about December 2nd.
I just want, you know, before, so, we've got a motion for 4 o'clock on the 2nd. Any discussion on that now that,
Well, I wouldn't mind moving it to Tuesday.
I can't be there Tuesday. We've got other meetings Tuesday.
Call the question.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor of changing the meeting to December 2nd at 4 p.m., say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay. Just try to get here, please. You're the boss. You're the boss.
Doctor.
Yes. Okay.
I'll take your proxy.
You'll take my proxy. Okay. Dr. Crumpton, anything else?
No, ma'am. I think that's it.
Okay. All right. Gosh, it's hard to believe we're talking about Thanksgiving and Christmas already. Ooh. Okay. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Reeves?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay.
I second that.
Oh, okay. Anything else? Okay. Commissioner
Wish
Cox?
everyone a happy Thanksgiving, safe one.
Okay.
Happy Thanksgiving. I want to say thank you again to Mrs. Long for donations. That was a generous gift. And again, I wish all our colleagues a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe.
Sammy, everything you see. I think one more thing about the Splash program from US Swim. I think there's some grant money available. The county needs to apply for that. I'm sure we can ask Ashley if we need to expand that. Correct? Yeah. Real quick, thank you.
So
Put you to work tonight.
That's
You know
fine,
that.
we can talk about swimming in
Yeah.
my sleep. It's fine. So USA Swimming has a Make a Splash program, and they also have a funding available through a swim-a-thon. Both of these were recommended to Cindy Castle, Ariana, and myself when we met with USA Swimming. I think it was about a week and a half ago. And through both of those, you're able to get funding and fundraise for certain things in the community, and they support it. So for low-income communities and things like that, USA Swimming partners with this program called Make a Splash, and you have to apply for funding. Once you apply, most of the time Make a Splash is affiliated with a USA Swimming swim team, which currently we do not have in this community that I'm aware of. So usually it's affiliated with that, but they told us in the meeting separately that we should be able to apply for it for Parks and Rec's Swim Lesson program. But I feel like Tramway, because it's part of the community, those types of things like could be affiliated with that program. So there's definitely a deep need for that. So, and then the swim-a-thon, basically you just get everyone together in a pool, and a lot of times kids will do it, and they'll swim as many laps as they can, and people will donate money towards their
like a
success
walk-a-thon.
to raise for the community. So it's a great way. Both of those are great options for funding from USA Swimming.
Okay.
So, and they provide the
So
resources.
you'll send us the information.
I would be
Thank
happy
you.
to.
Appreciate it.
All right. Good.
And with that, I'm good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith?
Madam Chair, just some information from the Sand Hill Center. The Ashboro facility is complete. They're just waiting off for the final approval from the state. The Rockingham facility is on schedule. Hopefully by the end of January will be complete. The two facilities that are planned for, and they've already broken the ground for the Greensboro facilities, the youth program, or the youth facility as well as the adult facility, they're going to be next to each other. Unfortunately, they are on their third round of bidding. They're not getting enough bids in because the economy is booming in Greensboro, and there's no contractors willing to put forth the effort because they're too busy.
They're busy. Mhm.
And I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and please drive safely.
Are there, the one that's completed and open, have they had a ribbon cutting for that? Did we miss that?
They did. It was in
Okay.
October.
Okay.
I want to say yes, in October.
Well, keep us posted on
Yeah.
the next one. Okay, well, happy Thanksgiving to everyone here. Can't believe it's here already. As Ms. Moss was telling us about the ribbon cuttings and all, I think I've been to more the last little bit that I can recall. We had a huge one at Planet Fitness. And just to give a little shout out to that business, when I was at the ribbon cutting, I learned that they are partners with the Boys and Girls Club, the National Boys and Girls Club, and Daniel Simmons for our local Boys and Girls Club was there. Of course, he's a chamber ambassador too, I think.
And a board member.
And a board member, right, yeah. And he was telling me that even before they officially opened, they had conversations, and Planet Fitness was like, what do you need, you know, in your community? What does your Boys and Girls Club need? And so they sponsored the golf tournament before they even opened the business. So the Boys and Girls Club, they had kids there for the grand opening, for the ribbon cutting and stuff. We had a fun afternoon. It was really good. But and then another ribbon cutting, I think Friday of this week. So we've got the J
Hart Construction.
Yeah. So a lot of good things going on in the county, and lots of people doing a lot of hard work, which we all appreciate. But happy Thanksgiving. Lots to be grateful for at this time.
Madam Chair, I move that we go into closed session per North Carolina General Statute 143, 318, 11A4 to discuss matters relating to the location or expansion of business.
Thank you. Okay, that's the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're in closed session. Thank you very much.